introduce our first featured reader, Jen Cross.
Oh.
Jen is a writer and an MFA candidate in Creative Nonfiction at San Francisco State University. Her stories and essays have been widely published, and she is the co-editor with Carol Queen and Amy Butcher of the award-winning Sex Still Spoken Here. She has recently fled the encroaching tech-hipster madness of Oakland for the fog and non-ironic 70s ranch culture of El Cerrito. Find out more about Jen and her work at jencross.net. Please welcome Jen.
Thanks, you guys. I have a, oh wait a minute. I want to time myself, lest I go over. I always go over. All right, I have, stop. I have a short thing and a long thing. So I'm going to start with the short thing. Her mouth is all motion and quicksilver wanting, goes small into the work of the day, but when she leans into me suddenly, those baby doll lips contain ocean swells, contain both thorn and bud. All I have for you are cliches and love songs, but I am ready to build a bridge to your mouth if you will let me sleep there in the bird song under your tongue, all monument and douse. The way your mouth shapes hard around the O of your climaxing body, the way your mouth is every plea I've ever left wound bereft on a city park street corner, the lift of your mouth all eruption now. Your bottom lip goes hard or soft, fitting in between my teeth, and your mouth in that sweet growl, don't bite me there, honey, just because sometimes I forget. I want to give them the smooth, slick surprise of your bottom lip between my own two that very first time when both of us gasped into the kiss we thought was still weeks away. The kiss we had imagined and written and tensed ourselves away from, the kiss we were sure would lead us into one another's inseams, and so it did. That kiss didn't end until 8 the next morning. Maybe it hasn't ended yet. All right. This is a longer thing, and it's called Things I Did Instead. And it's an essay in progress. Once again, the college alumni magazine arrives in the mail. Against my better judgment, I flip through, past the articles to the lists in the back. Who is doing what now? My once upon a time, I didn't make this here, right? I'm having this weird panic. My once upon a time classmates, friends who took real jobs after graduation, announced their promotions, moves across the country for well-paying, well-respected jobs. They announced their first or second marriages, their first or second or third children. They leave unspoken their savings accounts, their 401ks, their college funds, their brand name clothes, their trips to Europe or Latin America or Africa. They are achieving, they are successful. They understand that the work of adulthood is about bringing in the cash. I spent the morning walking barefoot on the beach in San Francisco, pitching live sand dollars back into the frothy surf, throwing the ball for my dog, inhaling salt and sea spray, ignoring my email and text messages in favor of watching red-tailed hawks slowly circle over the disintegrating cliffs at Port Funston. Instead of doing work that would make me money, reading workshop pages or writing new marketing copy or typing up a blog post or making outreach calls or engaging on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or Snapchat or Pinterest or Goodreads. Once I went to a workshop about social media strategies for authors. The presenter, a marketer, not a writer, said you can be watching TV or you can be making money. You can just hang out with your family or you can make money. It's your choice. The self-described, self-promoting business coaches ask, do you want to make money or do you want to wander through the world? As it turns out, I have almost always chosen to wander through the world. In the years since I first withdrew from college after drawing a line in the sand of my body that I would no longer allow my stepfather to cross, resulting in his refusal to pay for my education, I have spent more of my awake hours searching for words or something like them than for money. In America, this marks me a failure. But here are 74 things I did instead. 1. Haunted cafes, scribbling in notebooks, listened to music through my headphones in order to drown out chatters at the next table. Recorded dreams or memories or sexual fantasies or sexual abuse or frustrations or petty complaints. Many, many hours, probably most, spent recording petty complaints. Number 3. bent over onto a wooden table to watch a honeybee clean itself with its forelegs, the way a cat does. Number 5. Sat on the back deck of a house in ruralish Maine, watching dragonflies snag mosquito after mosquito out of the air, so quiet that a hummingbird who rose up behind me sounded like a helicopter on approach. 6. Read hundreds of novels, then reread them. 7. Drank terrible cheap wine with the intention of getting drunk fast, stepping just for a moment out of a misery that seemed at the time certain never to end, and into a place in which I felt sexual, powerful, lovable, funny, worth knowing. Then spent even longer hours sunk in the mire and self-pity of the drunk, depressed and sobbing, fully certain of my own worthlessness. Spent innumerable mornings dehydrated and nauseous, promising myself I wouldn't do it again. 8. Danced and danced and danced, mostly in clubs and bars, though sometimes in kitchens or living rooms or bedrooms or offices, and once in Joshua Tree at sunset with Public Enemy spilling from the rental car radio. 10. Spent more time connected to, learning about, or deepening relationships with fictional characters than with real, live human friends. 12. Cried in cafes while writing. Cried while watching television or movies. Cried while walking around listening to The Story or Ani DeFranco. Cried alone in the bathroom, curled up on the rug, in the shower, in front of the computer, on long drives, in the car, in bed, while holding my dog, while drunk, while sober. 13. Masturbated in many of the above circumstances, too. Well, not while driving, or while writing in a cafe, or while holding my dog, or while drunk, actually, though I tried, but I just fell asleep. But yes, on a bathroom rug. 15. Fell in love over and over and over. 16. Watched other people live their lives. 17. Loitered in bookstores, read about writing, about incest, about sex, read cookbooks, magazines, places to submit the writing I supposedly wanted to do. 21. Sang along with songs spilling from open car windows onto Visadero. 23. Wrote the sun up over the sea and over mountains and buildings and treetops and forest and paved hills and flower gardens. 24. Read want ads, scanned through Craigslist job ads, drafted cover letters, and then scrapped them. 26. Fell in love again. 27. Fantasized sexually about almost everyone I met. 30. Avoided submitting my own writing, sometimes for years at a time. Perfected the art of not submitting, while also aching for my writing to be noticed. 31. Looked at trash collected in the gutter, at cultivated gardens, at broken glass at the base of city trees, at sweatshirted kids walking from school, men in watch caps smoking cigarettes, women sitting in closed living room windows, women in cars, driving to meetings, driving away, driving back. Looked at parked cars, lost receipts and notes passed hand to hand in some high school classroom. Old shoes, murders of crows clumped in the bare branches of winter sycamores, city hawks circling high above Powell Street, women pushing cheap strollers, men jogging with expensive strollers, women and men pushing shopping carts full of dirty blankets and books with no covers and ratty stuffed animals and lots of bottles. Looked at endless pairs of other eyes, turned away or turned toward, those willing to acknowledge, willing to meet, willing to say hello. 33. Tended anemic gardens, spent hours picking Japanese beetles from pea vines and bean leaves, picking snails from broccoli and greens and tomatoes and peppers, weeding, thinning, tending leggy seedlings planted too early in peat pots or soil-filled eggshells. 34. Put my hands in rosemary, mint, eucalyptus, lemon verbena, peppermint, spearmint, oregano, basil, bay, pine. Rubbed the sticky oils into my fingers, raised fingers to nose and inhaled deep, and perfumed my neck and behind my ears. 36. Wrote love letters, breakup letters, rants, accusations, letters of seduction, letters of betrayal. 38. ignored friends, lovers, comrades in struggle, cultivated loneliness and solitude, and then wondered where everyone was and why I never got invited to any parties. 39. Read about goddess worship, poetic forms, organic gardening, vegetarianism, how to raise chickens, how to become a freelance writer, how to make your own tofu, how to make your own sourdough bread, the history of coffee and coffee houses, feminist histories, black histories, queer histories, how to pickle anything, how to build a straw bale house, how to garden in containers, this is serious, you guys, how to save seeds, how to raise and keep bees, how to make candles, how to make soap, how to live in America for under $10 a day. 40. Read and wrote, listened to music and wrote, looked out the window and wrote, ate homemade bread and wrote, burned candles and wrote, watched TV and wrote. 41. Then watched TV instead of writing, drank wine instead of writing. Second-guessed myself out of writing, inner-critiqued myself out of writing, shamed myself out of writing, and then shamed myself again for not writing. 42. Then picked up the pen and started again. 43. Investigated graduate programs in linguistics, education, creative writing, interdisciplinary studies, psychoanalysis, communications, therapy, neurobiology, anthropology, sociology, and English. 48. Volunteered to lead writing groups. Volunteered to organize readings. Volunteered to participate in fundraising readings. Volunteered to help organize performances and critique sessions and groups and chapbooks. Traded workshops for massage, Bagua lessons, Reiki, and other services, most of which were never delivered, except the Bagua lessons, which were a godsend. 49. Read books about running, writing businesses, running a nonprofit, how artists deal with money, how activists deal with money, cultivating a positive relationship with money, how to believe you deserve money. 50. Listened to and read The Secret. Kept thinking and visioning and talking to myself exactly the way I always had. 53. Examined dragonflies, spiders, ants, snakes, sleeping dogs, the moon, stars, clouds, city cats, squirrels, deer, bees and rosemary and mint flowers, ladybugs, ferrets, iguanas, fish, sea lions, seals, egrets, ducks, herons, fireplaces, candlelight, aphids, shadows, praying mantises, monarch butterflies, cabbage moths, wasps, slugs, worms, live sand dollars, hawks, crickets, grasshoppers, and once a luna moth that appeared on one morning, aglow, like memory, clinging to our back screen door. 54. Drank and danced alone, remembered old love affairs, flirted with imagined friends, cultivated ache around missed opportunities. 57. Developed a butch identity, then abandoned that to reclaim a relationship with femme identity. Spent hours ranting and writing rants about the strictures around butch identity and longing, and then spent hours ranting and writing rants about the strictures around femme identity and longing. 59. Read books about astrology, gender, butch, and much, much later, femme history. LGBT histories, rape crisis text, incest stories, coming out stories, books about dogs, books about cyberpunk and techno futures and cyborgs and dystopia. 61. Read newspapers, journals, little magazines, workshop writers' manuscripts, cereal boxes, found letters, the backs of shampoo and lotion bottles, library books, advertising flyers, email, forwarded articles, newspaper clippings mailed to me by parents or in-laws, on our backs, off our backs, Sojourner, Oprah, Ms., Modern Ferret, Anything That Moves, Bad Attitude, Poets and Writers, Poetry, Writer's Digest, Tikkun, Vegetarian Times, Boing Boing, Mondo 2000, Makeshift, American Poetry Review, In These Times. 63. Had lots and lots of sex, only some of which I wasn't fully in the room for. 64. Spent months of this lifetime knelt down in yards and vacant lots and city parks, searching for and often finding four-leaf clovers. Decided luck was worth more than income. 65. Avoided self-care, ignored email, bills, strangers looking at me as I wrote and cried, ignored opportunities to make money. 72. Managed not to learn about fashion or shoes or economics or investments or 401ks or fine restaurants or international travel or New Yorker reviewed literature or Oscar-winning movies or Emmy-winning television or how to get a book picked up by a big New York City publisher. 73. Read friends' books and stories and reviews and essays and blog posts. Watched friends' movies. Went to friends' shows and openings and performances and readings. 74. Looked out windows. Watched people. Fell in love. Wrote it down.